you should have already drawn a squiggly line underneath the number 4 from yesterday. And then the title of today's notes is Wonder, Part 6, which all of you should have already had. Chapters 9 through 11, which you probably did not have. And then today's, and that's underlined. And then today's date, 12 December 1st, 2020, which you also know, so you should have already had. And then we're going to start with number 5, which is our only word today. We only have one vocab word today, so that means, Mason, you'll have one vocab word tonight. I will try to remember to give you a card as soon as I'm done telling you the word. Okay, so number 5 is the word rickety. Rickety. A lot of you have probably heard this word before. It's a pretty commonly used word. R-I-C-K-E-T-Y. Rickety. R-I-C-K-E-T-Y. Rickety. This word is rickety. R-I-C-K-E-T-Y. Rickety is an adjective. An adjective. That means it's a describing word. It describes a noun. Remember, adjectives describe nouns. Usually a thing. Occasionally you could describe a person or an animal as rickety, but it's not really the most common way to use it. Usually you would be talking about a thing like a car or a chair or a porch or something that stands or sits on something. And what it means is something is old, shaky, creaky, and likely to fall apart. Rickety means that something is old, shaky, creaky, and likely to fall apart. So do you see why we would describe a car or a chair or a porch, maybe a building, or maybe even a person as rickety? But it's mostly used to describe things like a desk, furniture, or like a car or a part of a house, something like that. Here's the word in context, so make sure you're listening for this as we read so that you can understand the situation. Who's talking about it? What are they talking about? What is rickety? Why is it rickety? Why are they even using this word to begin with? The stage was completely empty except for Justin, who was sitting on an old rickety chair tuning his fiddle. So in that word in context, what noun are they saying is rickety? In that sentence I just said, what noun, what thing are they saying is rickety? Carla.
The chair that Justin was sitting on.
So just a chair. That's the word I was looking. I was just looking for the one word, the noun, and it is a chair. So they're saying that a chair is rickety, which means that chair is old, shaky, creaky, and likely to fall apart. You've all probably seen or used or maybe even own a rickety chair. Okay, go ahead and close your vocab notebooks. Okay, everybody should be in their good listening position. Sitting up straight, hands on your desk, on your book. Nothing on your desk other than your book and your bookmark. Remember, you need to use your finger or your bookmark to follow along. and we are on page 226. Page 226. Make sure your book is flat on your desk or just barely tilted up. Go ahead and put your finger or your bookmark on the title. Please make sure that you are following along with your finger or your bookmark. It makes it a lot easier to keep on track. Chapter 9, Heaven. I woke up later on and it was still dark. I got out of bed and walked into Mom and Dad's bedroom. "Mommy?" I whispered. It was completely dark, so I couldn't see her eyes open. I couldn't see her open her eyes. "Mommy? You okay, honey?" she said groggily. "Can I sleep with you?" Mom scooted over towards Daddy's side of the bed, and I snuggled up next to her. She kissed my hair. "Is your hand okay?" I said. "Via told me Daisy bit you." "It was only a nip," she whispered in my ear. "Mommy," I started crying. "I'm sorry about what I said." "Shh, there's nothing to be sorry about," she said, so quietly I could barely hear her. She was rubbing the side of her face against my face. "Zari, make sure that you're sitting up straight and that your camera is down so I can see you and what you're working on. Right now I just see the top of your head. So make sure you're sitting up straight, please." "Is Via ashamed of me?" I said. "No, honey, no. You know she's not. She's just adjusting to a new school. It's not easy." I know, you know. "I'm sorry I called you a liar." "Go to sleep, sweet boy. I love you so much." "I love you so much too, Mommy." "Good night, honey," she said very softly. "Mommy, is Daisy with Grands now?" "I think so." "Are they in heaven?" "Yes." "Do people look the same when they get to heaven?" "I don't know. I don't think so." "Then how do people recognize each other?" "I don't know, sweetie." She sounded tired. "They just feel it. You don't need your eyes to love, right? You just feel it inside you. That's how it is in heaven. It's just love, and no one forgets who they love." She kissed me again. "Now go to sleep, honey. It's late, and I'm so tired." But I couldn't go to sleep, even after I knew she had fallen asleep. I could hear Daddy sleeping too, and I imagined I could hear Via sleeping down the hallway in her room. And I wondered if Daisy was sleeping in heaven right now. And if she was sleeping, was she dreaming about me? And I wondered how it would feel to be in heaven someday and not have my face matter anymore, just like it never, ever mattered to Daisy. Chapter 10, Understudy. Via brought home 3 tickets to her school play a few days after Daisy died. We never mentioned the fight we had over dinner again. On the night of the play, right before she and Justin were leaving to get to their school early, she gave me a big hug and told me she loved me and she was proud to be my sister. This was my first time in Via's new school. It was much bigger than her old school and 1,000 times bigger than my school. More hallways, more room for people. The only really bad thing about my bionic Lobot hearing aids was the fact that I couldn't wear a baseball cap anymore. In situations like these, baseball caps really come in handy. Sometimes I wish I could still get away with wearing that old astronaut helmet I used to wear when I was little. Believe it or not, people would think seeing a kid in an astronaut helmet was a lot less weird than seeing my face. Anyway, I kept my head down as I walked right behind Mom through the long, bright hallways. We followed the crowd to the auditorium where students handed out programs at the front entrance. We found seats in the 5th row, close to the middle. As soon as we sat down, Mom started looking inside her pocketbook. "I can't believe I forgot my glasses," she said. Dad shook his head. Mom was always forgetting her glasses, or her keys, or something or other. She's flaky that way. "You want to move closer?" said Dad. Mom squinted at the stage. "No, I can see okay." Speak now or forever hold your peace, said Dad. I'm fine, answered Mom. Look, there's Justin, I said to Dad, pointing out Justin's picture in the program. That's a nice picture of him, he answered, nodding. How come there's no picture of Via? I said. She's an understudy, said Mom. But look, here's her name. Why do they call her an understudy? I asked. Wow, look at Miranda's picture, said Mom to Dad. I don't think I would have recognized her. Why do they call it an understudy? I repeated. It's what they call someone who replaces an actor if he can't perform for some reason, answered Mom. Did you hear Martin's getting remarried? Dad said to Mom. Are you kidding me? Mom answered, like she was surprised. Who's Martin? I asked. Miranda's father, Mom answered, and then to Dad, who told you? I ran into Miranda's mother in the subway. She's not happy about it. He has a new baby on the way and everything. Wow, said Mom, shaking her head. What are you guys talking about? I said. Nothing, answered Dad. But why do they call it an understudy? I said. I don't know, Augie Doggy, Dad answered. Maybe because the actors kind of study under the main actors or something. I really don't know. I was going to say something else, but then the lights went down. The audience got very quiet very quickly. Daddy, can you please not call me Augie Doggy anymore? I whispered in Dad's ear. Dad smiled and nodded and gave me a thumbs up. The play started. The curtain opened. The curtain opened. The stage was completely empty except for Justin, who was sitting on an old rickety chair tuning his fiddle. He was wearing an old-fashioned type of suit and a straw hat. This play is called Our Town, he said to the audience. It was written by Thornton Wilder, produced and directed by Philip Davenport. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude 42 degrees, 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees, 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. I knew right then and there that I was going to like the play. It wasn't like other school plays I've been to, like The Wizard of Oz or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. No, this was grown-up seeming, and I felt smart sitting there watching it. A little later in the play, a character named Mrs. Webb calls out for her daughter Emily. I knew from the program that that was the part Miranda was playing, so I leaned forward to get a better look at her. That's Miranda, Mom whispered to me, squinting at the stage when Emily walked out. She looks so different. It's not Miranda, I whispered, it's Via. Oh my God, said Mom, lurching forward in her seat. Shh, said Dad. It's Via. Mom whispered to him. I know, whispered Dad, smiling. Shh. Chapter 11, the ending. The play was so amazing. I don't want to give away the ending, but it's the kind of ending that makes people in the audience teary. Mom totally lost it when Via, as Emily, said, Goodbye, goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers. And food and coffee. And new iron dresses and hot baths. And sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Via was actually crying while she was saying this, like real tears. I could see them rolling down her cheeks. It was totally awesome. After the curtain closed, everyone in the audience started clapping. Then the actors came out one by one. Via and Justin were the last ones out, and when they appeared, the whole audience rose to their feet. Bravo! I heard Dad yelling through his hands. Why is everyone standing up? I said. It's a standing ovation, said Mom, getting up. So I got up and clapped and clapped. I clapped until my hands hurt. For a second, I imagined how cool it would be to be Via and Justin right then, having all these people standing up and cheering for them. I think there should be a rule that everyone in the world should get a standing ovation at least once in their lives. Finally, after I don't know how many minutes, the line of actors on stage stepped back and the curtain closed in front of them. The clapping stopped and the lights went up and the audience started getting up to leave. Me and Mom and Dad made our way to the backstage. Crowds of people were congratulating the performers, surrounding them, patting them on the back. We saw Via and Justin at the center of the crowd, smiling at everyone, laughing and talking. "Via!" shouted Dad, waving as he made his way through the crowd. When he got close enough, he hugged her and lifted her off the floor a little. "You were amazing, sweetheart." "Oh my God, Via!" Mom was screaming with excitement. "Oh my God, oh my God!" She was hugging Via so hard, I thought Via would suffocate, but Via was laughing. "You were brilliant," said Dad. "Brilliant," Mom said, kind of nodding and shaking her head at the same time. "And you, Justin," said Dad, shaking Justin's hand and giving him a hug at the same time. "You were fantastic." "Fantastic," Mom repeated. She was honestly so emotional she could barely talk. "What a shock to see you up there, Via," said Dad. "Mom didn't even recognize you at first," I said. "I didn't recognize you," said Mom, her hand over her mouth. "Miranda got sick right before the show started," said Via, all out of breath. "There wasn't even time to make an announcement." I have to say she looked kind of strange because she was wearing all this makeup and I'd never seen her this way before. "And you just stepped in there at the last minute?" said Dad. "Wow." "She was amazing, wasn't she?" said Justin, his arm around Via. "There wasn't a dry eye in the house," said Dad. "Is Miranda okay?" I said, but no one heard me. At that moment, a man who I think was their teacher came over to Justin and Via, clapping his hands. "Bravo, bravo, Olivia and Justin." He kissed Via on both cheeks. "I flubbed a couple of lines," said Via, shaking her head. "But you got through it," said the man, smiling ear to ear. "Mr. Davenport, these are my parents," said Via. "You must be so proud of your girl," he said, shaking their hands with both of his hands. "We are." "And this is my little brother August," said Via. He looked like he was about to say something, but suddenly froze when he saw me. "Mr. D," said Justin, pulling him by the arm, "come meet my mom." Via was about to say something to me, but then someone else came over and started talking to her. And before I knew it, I was kind of alone in the crowd. I mean, I knew where Mom and Dad were, but there were so many people all around us, and people kept bumping into me, spinning me around a bit, giving me that 1-2 look, which made me feel kind of bad. I don't know if it was because I was feeling hot or something, but I kind of started getting dizzy. People's faces were blurring in my head, and their voices were so loud it was almost hurting my ears. Bless you. I tried to turn the volume down on my Lobot ears, but I got confused and turned them louder at first, which kind of shocked me. And then I looked up and I didn't see Mom or Dad or Via anywhere. "Via!" I yelled out. I started pushing through the crowd to find Mom. "Mommy?" I really couldn't see anything but people's stomachs and ties all around me. "Mommy!" Suddenly, someone picked me up from behind. "Look who's here," said a familiar voice, hugging me tight. I thought it was Via at first, but when I turned around, I was completely surprised. "Hey, Major Tom," she said. "Miranda," I answered, and I gave her the tightest hug I could give. Okay, who heard rickety? Zari.
When Justin was in the play and when he forgot some of his lines, he played his fiddle, and I remember that from a couple chapters ago.
Okay, well, yes, that is something that happened a couple chapters ago, but that doesn't really have anything to do with rickety. So make sure you're answering the question being asked. Ethan. There was a rickety chair. Where was that rickety chair? On the stage with Justin. Very good. So when you say a rickety chair, or when the book said rickety chair, what did you picture in your mind? What did you think of in your mind? Zadie?
A very old-looking chair.
A very old-looking chair. Very good. Not new. Did you think of like a big armchair? Ethan?
I pictured it leaning.
You pictured it leaning a little. Very good. What do you think it was made out of? What do you think an old rickety chair might be made out of? Mason?
Wood.
Maybe wood. Very good. Because wooden chairs, they're not just carved like that. They're different pieces of wood all put together. Very good. I like that. Zadie said she pictured an old chair. Ethan said he pictured it leaning a little. And Mason said he pictured it made of wood. Very good. That's what you should be doing as you're reading it. As you're reading things, try to make that picture in your head. If you can picture what the scene looks like, that's going to help you remember it and really understand what's going on. Okay. Zari, where are you? Make sure you stay in your chair. Okay, go ahead and number 1. What does August ask his mom about heaven? How does she respond? Do you agree or disagree with what she says? Why? So there's like several parts to that question. First, you answer, what does August ask his mom about heaven? You're using text evidence to answer that question, because that answer is in the book. You don't have to make inferences. It's right there. So you're using text evidence to answer that question. How does she respond? Again, that answer is in the book. So again, you're using text evidence to answer how does she respond. Do you agree or disagree with what she says? That's opinion. That's in your brain. Do you agree with what she says about heaven? Do you disagree with what she says about heaven? That's not text evidence. That's not making an inference. That's sharing your opinion, your thoughts. Why? Why do you agree? Why do you disagree? So you can't just say, I disagree, because you don't feel like saying why. No matter what, whether you agree, you have to say why. Whether you disagree, you have to say why. Why do you agree with her? Why do you disagree with her? Number 2. What do we learn about Miranda's family while August and his parents are waiting for the play to start? Again, that's text evidence. We learn that in the book. It says exactly what happened. Please pay attention. Make sure, you may think that this requires just a short little 1-sentence answer, but you can put it in more than 1 sentence. Don't just write random information from the book just to get to more than 1 sentence. I can tell there is a term for that. I can't remember what it is, but there is a term when you just write random things trying to get a longer answer. Do not do that. Number 3, why are August and his parents surprised when the play starts? Well, that's text evidence and making inferences. Because the book does tell us what they see that surprises them. That's the text evidence. But you have to make an inference as to why that makes them surprised. Why do they feel surprised? That part is making an inference, but you have to say what surprised them, which is text evidence. So does everybody understand how text evidence tells you what they were surprised by? So you'll use that to say what they were surprised by. But you have to make an inference about why that surprises them. So that's 2 parts to that answer. What is it that surprises them? That comes from the text evidence. Why are they surprised? That's making an inference. Why would you be surprised in that situation? Why would your parents be surprised if it was you? Okay? Number 4, describe the mood backstage when August and his parents go to see Via after the play. Remember, we had a question like this yesterday. What's the feeling? What feeling do you get while reading it? What feeling do the characters have? Why do they have this feeling? Why do you feel this way while reading it? That's the same type of question as yesterday, just a different situation. So make sure if you answer number 4, you say what mood the characters are feeling, what mood you're feeling, and why. Why they feel this way, why you feel this way. Any questions about the questions? Okay, I accidentally put a comma here. There's not supposed to be a comma because we have our independent clause before our dependent clause? Do we put commas when the independent clause, the complete thought, comes before the dependent clause, the incomplete thought? No. So don't write that comma. As soon as I start the timer, I will go get white out and I will white it out. So if you do number 4 before I white it out, please remember to not put this comma. Does everybody understand?
If we do number 4, we just have to remember not to write
Yes.
the comma.
Unless you do it later, in which case I'll already have it whited out. Any questions before I start the timer? You will have your full amount of time, plus some. Okay, go ahead and open your journals. If you have not finished writing the title or the date, write that right now, and go. Make sure you are spending the whole time thinking and writing.